Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to Rangers Radio.
Hello and good evening, and a very warm welcome to Rangers Radio. Tonight you've been joined by the young team. It's myself, GB, young Robert, and our very own JM. Boys, how we all doing? Robert, yourself, mate, how we getting on?
Evening, GB. Evening, JM. Yeah, not too bad, mate. Getting to that end of the season feeling. But a big game to come on Saturday, of course.
Yep, mate, talking points around. JM, how we doing, bud?
Yeah, evening, guys. Yeah, all good. Thank you. A bit like myself. Got that sort of end of feeling. Let me try that again. That end of season feeling at the moment, but I'm sure it'll pick up as the week goes on a little bit.
Quite right, mate. Quite right. Right, we'll do the pleasantries. A big warm welcome to our social media friends who are listening in tonight as well. Big shout out to Paul and Cammy and young Luke in the background. I know they participate well in the Facebook chat. So if you've got any questions, get in there and get them put towards our panel tonight. And a big warm welcome to the techie team in the background helping us tonight as well. Hopefully, I think if I speak nicely, they might do a wee poll for us, boys. So, plenty to talk about. I think the night, lads, because it is that kind of end of season feeling, I think the gang last night touched on the Hearts game, which I'd like your thoughts on, which we'll get. But I'd like to get like some topics for yourselves tonight that maybe the listeners can contribute to. So, Robert, you got any pressing topics that you'd like to maybe bring up tonight for the listeners?
Yeah, mate, I'm going to look at players coming back from the loan spells and whether they have a future under Clement from next season onwards and how they can maybe contribute to the team going forward if we've missed them at all.
Right, aye, decent, mate, decent. JM, mate, you got a topic that's pressing now for yourself, mate?
Yeah, I have, and I thought as it's the young team as well, maybe we're the most qualified about it. I think because of maybe recent posts that have came out in a day or so, I would just like to talk about players on social media. So get everyone's thoughts on that, discuss the shoulds and shouldn't, and are we too sensitive about it and whatnot. So I'd like to dive into the social media side of things because it's more and more important, I think.
Aye, mate, perfect. And I think for myself, I'll be looking at the kind of cup final aspect, possibly touching on the 2000 and the 0102 Scottish Cup final. It's been a while. I think that was 24 years. Is that right? I think if I'm
2 years ago.
22. Is it 22? Aye,
Well, it wasn't before 2000, was it?
Aye, that's right. Aye, so I'm counting probably. I'm counting through my school days, so that just shows how much I've learned since then. Right, since I said we'd talk nice to the techie team, so techie team, do your thing. If you can put up a wee poll, we're looking for. So what was it? It was JM players on social media, GB Cup final, and our Rob with loans returning. So if you want to contribute in the wee poll, whatever one wins, then we'll start with that topic first. But until we get the results of that, we'll touch on the game at the weekend there. Disappointing 3-3 result for me. I think people are, I don't know, a bit lackadaisical in that game. And we'll go to yourself first, Robert. What was your thoughts in the 3-3 draw at the weekend there, mate?
If you wanted to sum up a 38 league game season in one, that was the game. There was positives, there was mistakes, there was errors, and that was by the players as well as the officials. I thought it did have that kind of end of season feeling that the players had as well. It was the same as a few years ago when we played Hearts away the last game of the season, and it was the young team that played that whole game as well. So positives from it was obviously scoring the 3 goals. We looked quite kind of safe in possession, not causing too much mistakes in our own half, keeping the ball. And then obviously the goals we conceded, especially the last one, a long hopeful ball by the goalkeeper, route one stuff, and before you know it, they get the equaliser to make it 3-3. So good to see the kind of likes of Robbie Fraser getting his first start. I thought when he came on midweek, he done quite well. Again, he came on for the start this week, showing glimpses of what he can bring to the team. I'm sure he'll be keen to impress going forward as well. he's done himself no harm in gaining those minutes and experience, and he didn't have an easy player up against him. Their winger was quite tricky, kind of cut inside a few times, made him slip in the park, but you'll learn from these things. So it was good to see that kind of aspect. But again, mate, just a game that we were more focused, I think, elsewhere. Obviously, with the game coming Saturday, it seemed to be that players were just wanting this game out of the way.
Aye, and Robert, what you're saying about the young team, as the young team showed tonight, but the young team did well at the weekend. Robbie Fraser, McCausland. I've been a bit of a critic of him, but I did think he had a good bit of endeavour, and he showed a desire to score goals. Had his weekend moments, but like I said, that goal he scored and the one he put through for Dessers, which Dessers should have probably buried. I think overall he had quite a decent game.
Yeah, I think so, and that's obviously following on from scoring a sort of not a critical goal in regards to the season, but for the match and maybe saving some of the players' embarrassment. He scored an important goal midweek just before half time. He came on, bear in mind a bit of him, if Dessers being Dessers, he might have had another assist. I mean, the one slight critique, I think if you watch it, he doesn't half fire the ball at Dessers. I mean, there's no reason for it not to go in the net, but he didn't half fire the pass at Dessers that I thought maybe made it a little bit more uncomfortable than he should have done. But then showed all his quality of the goal, didn't he? A deliberate sort of live watching on the telly, I thought it looked like a sort of mishit, but when you actually watch it, it's a perfectly sort of placed ball, and it just shows you don't need power if you put it out of the reach of the goalkeeper. It was a great finish.
Aye, I mean, if we touch on Robert, if we just touch on our kind of goals overall, I mean, when you look at our 3 goals, they're 3 decent goals. But it's funny how the Cantwell scores in the same off the same post as young Ross, and then Silva alert to a pouncing ball, really, isn't it? It's something again we've seen enough of this season, and then for some reason we like to go and let us just concede another 2. We'll touch on Shankland's one again, a mistake with Cantwell. But on our goals initially, I felt that all 3 of them were good quality goals.
They were, mate, and I'll give credit to McCausland, as Jim said, his endeavour to kind of win the ball, and I think Hearts were claiming for a foul for the high foot, but the players put his head down to McCausland's foot, so there's no foul there. And then he's took it on his left, which is probably his weaker side, if we're all honest. We've kind of more seen him on his right side, and then he's found the smallest of corners against the post to get it in. I think if it's kind of further out towards the centre of the goal, the keeper saves it. So it's a good finish, good endeavour, good persistence. I might be controversial and say that I don't think McCausland will feature as much next season as it has this season if we get all our targets in. But again, he's another one who's not done himself any harm in gaining the experience that he's had. Cantwell's goal, he kind of needed that goal, I felt. The crowd were getting at him, and I felt he was going to start getting more involved with them. As we know, he can get involved in stuff. He'd be a bit of petulance at times, so he got the goal quite well. So it was all well worked. That's the positives of the clinical finishing that we had. But it was more, again, the errors that cost us in the end, mate, and that's been the story throughout this season. That's why we're not sitting here as league title winners, is because of the mistakes that we've had, and it's cost us in games that we should have won. And again, although it's an end of season in the league game, that was a game that we should have won. It should have been 3 points on the board, and it was only 1. So that's still concerning. So there's always room for improvement.
Oh, aye, definitely. And when we touch on their goals, I mean, Cantwell's been one of the players the manager's not been too happy with. He makes the mistake of a pass when there's no pressure on him. There was no need for him to be a lazy pass like that, and it breaks and goes through to Shankland. And to be fair to Shankland, he puts it away really well. It's what you want your striker to do. But then when you start looking at the other 2 goals, I mean, Tav again, another guy that seems to no shut down a player and allow crosses to come in. And then the 3rd one, a wee bit worldly, but still, again, we're just not alert to it. We just allow the boy to. There's no pressure on him. He allows the ball to just come to him, and he gets the time to hit it first time. I don't know where this comes from with this team.
It's the lack of sort of, what's the word, awareness to danger and cutting out balls to sort of, you like, old school brave defender, whether it be Tav stopping crosses or even though if you like the strike from the ball was a good strike, that ball's travelled a good, 40, 50 yards. Leon King, who actually thought looked comfortable and is very brave, not capable maybe due to physique, to beat the guy for a header. The guy gets a simple flick on. And then Ridvan may be caught a bit cold because he's only coming on for 20 minutes. And also, I think it's fair to say with our squad how it's going, they're more trying not to get injured. But he's not tight to the bloke. And if he follows him correctly, possibly he doesn't get an easy shot as well. But all the goals are easily avoidable. And like I think we've said, just highlighted our weaknesses all season. But I think what's clear that it's more of this thing, like frailty is definitely a sort of team culture thing, because it doesn't matter what individuals are in there, the same things happen.
I'll come back to the Hearts game in 2 minutes because there's been a steward's inquiry so far about my pick. So the cup final is for the 01-02 season when Big Eck came in December and we won it 3-2 at Hampden Park. That's the kind of one I want to discuss because there are a wee bit of similarities that if Clermont gets this Scottish Cup at the weekend, then that's a double. And I can remember Big X's cup final at the time that it was seen as a good thing that we got the double, and sod's law what happened after the following season that we won a treble. So that's where my talking point will be around about. So make sure when you're picking it, you're not picking about this cup final coming up at the weekend. I don't want the boys getting upset in the background.
And there's plenty of time for that. We've got 3 days to kill you.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Of course. Robert, where does this kind of collapse come from? Because I think you said there at the start of the show that it summed up our season a bit. It was like started brightly, concede a goal all the time, and then again play some lovely football, get back into it, and then again we collapse. It's like you said, it's a kind of mirror image of how our seasons went.
When you're at a club at Rangers, there's no room for excuses, and I'm not going to sit here and give any excuses of why it went a bit downhill. But given the fact that we were out of a title race, and then we get back into it with the squad we had, the injuries mounted up. We hit form under Clermont right away, but then as the injuries mounted, that dipped, and I think that is where it comes in. And as I said, I'm not using that as an excuse. I think that's just something you've got to look at as a fact. The squad was bare thin. We sat here many nights struggling to put a starting 11 together because we had players in positions that wasn't natural, they weren't used to. You were maybe hoping that the likes of Scott Wright could come in and make an impact the same way he did against Dundee, but from the start. That for me is where it's went wrong, is the injuries, and it's impacted the squad massively. I'm hopeful that with a clean pre-season under Clermont, a full pre-season schedule, the fitness injuries will all be improved. And I think that's one thing he's looked at as well. He wants to improve the standards on the pitch, but also those off it in terms of backroom staff, fitness, doctors, physios, all sorts, even dietary, whatever it may be, to make sure the player's in the best shape. So I think it's down to the injuries and the form. We hurt it right away, but then we lost it. Whereas unfortunately for us, the other side of Glasgow, they hurt it where it really mattered, and we slipped up.
Aye, John, do you think that's where the manager was coming through in his press conference when he was saying the end of the cycle? Did we see the kind of an end of a cycle there at the weekend? Because for me, when it was all Hearts continued to make the chances, even when they before that kind of worldly goal, about the 90-minute mark, it was all Hearts again. And I don't know, like I don't get it why we seem to be a team that, as we go ahead and we just want to sit back and just see out the game. We should be going for the jugular and going for more goals. I mean, the way we've kind of let down the fans and stuff like that, I would imagine the team would be wanting to go out and set a wee bit of a statement going into this cup final.
Yeah, I think the manager's talking about the players and one thing, but I think he means the club as a whole, doesn't he? Like Robert saying, maybe doctors or that, just everything. I think, like, if you listen to his interview, he's doing a lot of stuff he wouldn't have expected to be doing as the football manager. You know, he needs to get staff in behind the scenes that he trusts and know that everything's being done right. I suppose the things with the players, with the manager making that statement, I think it's very clear and obvious that the discussions has been had with players, maybe who he fancies, who he doesn't fancy, who's potentially going to be there. And at the end of the day, I think you've got to accept these are professionals, aren't they? And if they don't think they're going to be there, they've got to try not to get hurt, haven't they? And I know we can say, they owe whatever, but they're professional sportsmen. I don't think they care, if you're being honest. The unfortunate majority of them don't. It's a job to them, and you've got to accept it. And then on the other hand, if we are just picking from players that are fit, the players that are fit and probably going to play Saturday, they're maybe not giving 100% effort and maybe being told not to because if they get injured, we might run out of players.
Well, I mean, James, just before I go to Robert with this same question, does anyone at the weekend that have came into the team, I mean, you obviously can discount the likes of Cantwell and Tav, you mean there are probably certainties either way, but any of them that's came into that team, have they grasped their shot, do you think, for this coming weekend?
No one's grasped the shirt. We'll maybe go into it a bit more, but there might be one that maybe gets it from default, but nobody's got it. And there's nothing against, for example, young Fraser. He's going into a team that's on the down at the end of a disappointing sort of couple of weeks. It's hard to pick up. He shows a lot of effort, probably not ready. Leon King tried his best back there, but again, not played a lot of games through for whatever reason. And I just don't think, he's not looking like an obvious just coming in. He's still a young lad. And then Raskin's up for debate, isn't it? Because of maybe pace and energy and his second half performance against them. But in a really good Rangers team, would he have shown enough? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. And same question to you, Robert, from, even the previous game. Do you think there's, like I says, anybody that's kind of you stay up to the mark that's going to maybe change the manager's decision on this team for the weekend?
Again, same as Jim, not really. Maybe the obvious one, just with positional sense and what's happened the past couple of games, who's available in the midfield. Nobody's really come in and grasped a game, but again, I think that's the energy around the team at the minute. So they may get, obviously, it's a cup final, it's an all firm game. You're going to get the fries, you're going to get the buzz, so you should when you pull on the jersey. So I'd like to think that if anybody is given that chance, they go and absolutely take it. Because it might be the last time they pull it on.
Mm-hmm. Aye, all there to be done, and like I says, maybe another medal to walk out the doorway, hopefully. But it would be great to hear from you out there listening to us tonight. Come in, make your points, so easy to do. Like I says, Jim and Robert first done it, and look at them, they're on the panel now, so like I says, let's hear from you.
Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to Rangers Radio.
Well, that was another warm welcome. But if you want to give us a phone, 0141 356 1972. Old School Blues getting in. I think once they restart the show, since we've been talking nonsense for the first bit, boys.
Take two.
Maybe he's realised that
boys,
poll,
how are we?
maybe that poll isn't right. Right. So the weekend, like you say, it was a dead rubber game, boys. Positives to take away for it. Some of the, like you say, mate, that some of the play in the game is really good. At times, like I say, they seem to have that kind of sync together, and maybe that has been the issue. Maybe we've just not had a settled squad that can build the understandings and build that nice play through a 90-minute performance.
Yeah, we saw the good, the bad, and the ugly, and everything, but we did see some of the positive play from players and some of the stuff that we know they can be good. And we've got to try and take that and hope that comes onto the weekend, don't we? Because we did see some nice attacking play from all of them at one stage. But like you say, story of the season and maybe the particular individuals just not over the 90 minutes. But I'm not going to use that game Saturday with the circumstances of not many fit players and with the season unfortunately being sort of finished there to dive into the performance. But yeah, hopefully we can take the positives out of it, and the boys that got a goal can take a bit of confidence going into the weekend.
Robert, yourself, mate, just the kind of same thing. Like I says, that I think you've said about the injuries and stuff like that. Passage's play was looking good at the weekend. I think it's just like I says, getting a kind of an understanding with each player and getting a settled squad, getting a settled engine room, hopefully at some point.
You hit the nail on the head with saying some point, because we're in a transition period of Diomande is going to be obviously become a permanent signing. Lundstrom's on his way out. Raskin's coming back into the fold. Sterling can play in there. So it's about finding that engine room, who works with who. Personally, I think we need more than two in there doing the job. Diomande and two others. Whether that's Sterling, Raskin, a newcomer, time will tell. But I think that's kind of the area where you see it in the games when you're watching it on TV or you're at the games. You're playing two midfielders against maybe 3 or 4 at a time, and we're outnumbered. So once we get that engine room going and ticking, I think you can then branch out and everything becomes a lot more smoother and cleaner looking in terms of attacking, defending, the style of play you want to do. But it's about recruitment. It's about getting the players in, and it has to be the right players as well. Not just a name. It needs to be the right player for the right money, not flinging silly pennies at anybody or anything. Ultimately, that's what we need to do. And once we get that going, again, it should all be plain sailing from there on. But it never is with our club, is it?
It's no. And again, before I jump to JM, Robert, just a question for you. With the end of the league and stuff like that, are you still in the Clermont train? Is he still the man for you to go forward with?
Yes, mate, because we can't keep on going round the managerial roundabout. We've done it too many times where a manager comes in, it doesn't work. But the issue is there's a number of these players here now that were here when Gerrard first came or Gerrard brought in. So we're talking 3 or 4 managers back. We need a rebuild of a squad completely. Clermont is showing that he's came in, he got a tune out of these players who we thought were all no users. They were done, they were finished, there was no chemistry, there was no cohesion. They were getting branded absolutely everything by the supporters on social media. He got a tune out of them. So once he has his players, gets the correct time, I think we will see big improvements. But it is about rebuilding the squad. But you have to get the players out to get the players in.
Mm-hmm. Aye, and that's got to be the biggest task, JM. Same kind of question to you. Clermont, is he the man to get these players out, and is he the man to rebuild the squad?
100%. Yeah, he's definitely shown he can do. Anybody that can get our fans singing Big Dess's name, obviously has got something about him. He can get them going, considering the start that bloke had. But yeah, he has done. He's come into a mess, and he made that clear when he started. He stopped talking about it and got us performing and handled the mess and dealt with it. Now the wheels have came off a little bit. He's definitely not using it as excuses, but it's done. He's highlighting again just how much work needs to be done. But he's not hiding from it. He's making it clear, and let's wait and see what he does in the summer. But 100%, he seems a real strong character. And any player that is not buying into it, may I suggest they're probably not fit for our club, because he seems to understand what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. Agree with both of you. I think as much as it's been a disappointment, and at times I've questioned what he's done tactically and certain players getting played in front of other players, I do think he's a guy who lets us build a squad and hopefully lets us challenge in next season. Well, when I say hopefully, he better, because the way it's been going, if he doesn't get after a good start, then I can see his pressure mounting. But unfortunately, we don't want to do what Chelsea's done tonight and sack another manager. We gave Gerrard time, and luckily, eventually in the third season it came off. I'm not saying we need to wait 3 seasons for a title, but I do think we need to kind of, as we've seen this season, it's been so up and down with points getting dropped elsewhere, that it proves that the season's not over in December. You've still got a long way to go. So I think we've just got to come on, build this, and we've just got to go with the flow, I think, boys. What's JM?
Yeah, 100%. We've got to give this. He's inherited none of his players, which is always, whenever you hear the thing, managers want their own players, which is absolutely understandable. He got to bring 3 in, and I think it's clear he had to be very tactical. He made it clear there was no money. Not, showed glimpses, all of them, but not ideal. But, when he gets the summer, being able to target a spine of a team, get players out, free some money, be creative. Let's see what he can do and get maybe a few more of his own backroom staff in, whether that be fitness coaches who are actually on the bench as well. Because a few, I know people like, I don't know, like, for example, Alec Ray, he was brought in for the year. He might be looking to change a few things there as well. But we got to give this man the time and the backing that we gave Michael Beale, that's for sure.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Well, Robert, I just want to announce that the poll, so it's looking like yourself, mate. You're up first with your topic, mate. So I will jump out this seat and I'll let you jump in, and I'll let you lead your topic, mate, and create the discussion. Let's say the callers are more than welcome to call in this. So it's 0141 356 1972, and give us a phone on your topic. Robert, over to you, buddy.
Cheers, mate. Surprised by that result. I thought I'd be dead last, to be fair. I thought they would like listening to your voice better than mine. So I looked at players coming out back to the club on loan. There was quite a number of them, so I've kind of picked up the ones who were involved in the first team or have kind of first team experience. And believe it or not, there's only 4. Sam Lammers, Jose Cifuentes, Adam Devine, and Yanis Hadji. So Lammers, he went to Utrecht, obviously on loan. Quite a successful spell, if I'm honest, mate. He's managed to get 10 goals and 3 assists in 18 appearances. And from reports online, it looks like Utrecht are wanting to do a deal there to try and keep him over in Holland. So I'll start with yourself, JM. Sam Lammers, could he have been a difference maker in this Clement system?
Any forward that would have produced them stats, yes. But there's obviously a reason why Clement's got rid, isn't there? Because in regards to, he didn't get rid of anybody else, really, did he? Well, Cifuentes, obviously. But he's either been scarred by the Mick Beale era to start with and maybe never, just didn't like it here, or Clement saw something that he didn't like for the season. Or maybe it's long-term and Clement might not want him to go and he just wanted to take him out of the firing line and get him scoring goals. He might have been a genius. But any man with them stats, yes, could have done. But, there wasn't once, apart from hearing that he scored a goal, was I thinking, I wish we had Sam Lammers playing. It was more out of pure, God, that just sums us up that he's now scoring goals. Not the Sam Lammers that we had playing for us would have made any difference, I don't think.
GB, do you think it was a move for confidence for Lammers? I think Clement came in seeing that he wasn't kind of feeling the confidence, didn't have the know of the kind of club, the pressures, and he sent him out on loan to get this experience and the numbers. He might look at it and say that's what he wanted from this loan to be part of next season.
Aye. Well, first off, I think for both parties it was the best thing to happen, because I think, like James says there, Sam Lammers needed taking out the firing line. He's brought in as one of the players that was meant to come in and basically take care of that number 10 role and score a lot of goals for us. But funny enough, when he went out on loan, he was more played as a striker. And I think we only seen it a couple of times when he was at Rangers, like he was actually playing up front. And it's strange how we've been creating so many chances, and yet Dessers has only been able to finish a couple of them. So I think the question needs to be asked. I think when this season is totally finished, I think hopefully the manager's got a chance to sit down and talk to Lammers and get to the bottom of why he was so inconsistent with us. Was it the system? Was it, like JM says, that it wasn't his cup of tea, the pressure was too much? And he just didn't like the style of football that the Scottish League presents. Let's face let's face it, in Holland he's probably got a lot of time to play and pass and thinking on the ball, whereas up here you're probably getting a 250 challenge on you and VAR's having to go and look at it. You know what I mean? It's that kind of craziness. I don't think he's a bad player, but I just don't think it was the right time for us. So there's got to be a conversation to be had, Robert, I think, mate, come the end of the season, because that kind of stats proves to me there's a player there that we could possibly be using without spending money like going another striker. We might have a striker already there to come in and help.
You both make good points. I think for me, the Dutch football probably suits him more than the Scottish football. He is contracted to us until 2027, and I think we bought him for around 3.5 million. The reports are led to believe. So you may get close to your money back if we do sell him in the summer, which I think wouldn't be the worst bit of business from the club in terms of getting a player, putting him out on loan, and getting something back that we can hopefully use for, whether it be another player in the same position or a more important role, maybe that right side midfield or centre back, whatever it may be. So I think we could probably say that, again, reports that Utrecht want to get that deal done. So I think the Lammers won. I think you're right, GB. A conversation needs to be had, possibly, if Clement has seen enough of the loan spell to keep him in the squad. But reading between the lines, I think we've seen the last of Sam Lammers in a Rangers shirt. We'll go to next one was Jose Cifuentes. Again, he came in under Michael Beale. We were told that he was going to take us to another level. We never saw that at all, did we, boys? So he got put out on loan to Brazil, to Cruzeiro, and he's had 9 appearances and he's been injured the rest of the time. So that kind of sums up Cifuentes. I think we could all agree, JM, that I don't think if Cifuentes was here, it would have made too much of a difference.
No, what it had done, I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the performances away, especially in Europe. And every week you're being told, you're thinking, right, this guy needs to get up to the pace and he'll be all right. Maybe the odd touch, odd pass, or he actually came on a couple of friendlies and got sort of stuck in. And you thought, right, okay, you can maybe see things, but it just never kicked on from there at all, did it? There was nothing in him. He actually looked one of the poorer players we had, never mind one of our most expensive and also probably one of our higher earners as well. I think, if anything, summed up Michael Beale's scouting and understanding of the Scottish game and what it required, it was that, because it just didn't work for the bloke and he didn't look ready for the Scottish game. And also when you hear his Rangers TV interviews, he seemed to be surprised at the weather, which is never a good start. So no, wasn't a good signing, and probably not surprised that he's gone over to Brazil and not playing a lot either.
GB, Cifuentes.
Oh, a disaster they are signing into it. It's probably one of the things where you don't watch the YouTube videos. This proves the point. Don't watch the YouTube videos of a player before they sign for Rangers, because that guy was touted, obviously, that Brighton was wanting him, and because that was listed, then everybody thought he was going to be the next kind of £30 million player that a possible Brighton would sign. It's I mean, Beale chased him and chased him and chased him, and I was so disappointed. And granted, like this is his first game, he got that header, didn't he? And it was disallowed, and I thought that was him. I thought that was the boy off and flying. Had certain performances that he was actually all right, but as a whole, like you say, his injuries and sometimes just falling out of games is just not what we need. We've got that already sometimes in that engine room. So no, I think we need to take the opportunity. Hopefully the boy will take the move back home, and like I say, we can use that the wages into a new and exciting player for that engine room, hopefully.
Do you think we're going to have? Sorry, do you think we're going to have to lose money on him, obviously, to get, because we don't want him here, do we? So to me, that's a loss, isn't it? It's about finding somebody who's no one's going to be prepared to pay for him when they see what he's done with us the last year, are they?
No, definitely not. And do you know what? I'm concerned as well that we are being linked with a few South Americans and stuff like that. I think we need to try and learn our lessons. We need to make sure that, well, I think Clement is doing due diligence on these players and stuff like that, and hopefully speaking to them, meeting them and all that. But if you look at it, Cifuentes is kind of like that other one that we had for Mexico and stuff. I think the two boys are just suited for that kind of league. That's their kind of level. They might look good in the MLS and stuff like that, but Scottish fit was a total different animal, isn't it?
What worries me about the Cifuentes one is he went on loan with the option to buy. Now he's only had the 9 appearances. They were very minimal minutes that he got before getting injured. So I don't think that they're going to trigger that that option of making it a permanent deal, which then poses the question of, well, if we're not able to sell him now, is MD going to sell him? Which kind of is your point, JM? Is MD going to buy him off us? But then we're stuck with a player possibly until 6 months, a year that he can get a move, and for that move, he might need game time. And I don't think he actually fits into the style that Clement's playing. I don't think he comes in the squad in place of a Raskin, a Diomande, a Sterling. So again, it's one of these players that could be on the books for a while until the contract runs down. JM?
Pray to God there's a bigger idiot than Mick Beale about, eh? We might get some luck.
Somebody might see the name and go, he sounds exotic. These South American signings, GB.
Aye, I mean, you can only hope that we even us as a club play hardball. I mean, if he's not using his agent to go and find a club even on another loan deal or something like that, then we say to him, well, you need to come back to Scotland and you need to sit in a training centre and you need to report for duty kind of thing. And as much as Clement will make it clear that he's not part of the squad, then him probably having the thoughts of coming back to a rainy Scotland and stuff like that might actually kick him up the backside to think, well, I better go and find another club here, because as much as he might want to sit in a contract and get paid week in, week out, I'm sure the club like says can make it a hard contract. So I think best for all parties that he starts speaking to his agent and either looking for another loan, or let us say, as JM says, we owe some money and we just get him out the door.
Just going back to Sam Lammers, boys, a quick question on social media from David Wilson. How much do you think that we will get back for Lammers? I think, obviously, as I said, signed for 3.5 million, 10 goals, 3 assists, and 18 appearances on a 3-year contract. What would you accept, GB?
As it stands now, I'd bite your hand off for the 3.5 million back. I mean, as long as I can we break even, then I would take it. I know I said earlier, there's a conversation to be had, but I think, as Clement says, cycles have got to end, and maybe we just need to totally clean out what's happened there the last couple of years, and we just need to go in fresh with all Clement's ideas and type of player, because I think, as we've seen, Clement's got a certain way of playing, and he's got to need certain players to play it, and I don't think Sam Lammers fits that.
JM, same question to you. What would you accept?
Yeah, it's about minimising, obviously, your losses, which might sound obvious, but suppose typically with transfers are not all paid in one go, are they? And hopefully he's maybe not hit the criteria for us to possibly be given a second or third instalment, depending on how it's all paid or whatever. So you just hope we get some agreement in place where maybe it's just, 6 months' wages and whatever we maybe have to pay up front and cut our losses from there, and hope he kicks on at the next club and we can maybe even make a bit of money on him. But yeah, whatever it takes, as little as loss as possible. You can't always make money, and just put it down to a real bad bit of business.
I think I'd be looking at minimum the 3 million mark, as you say, Jay. I'm trying to cover as much of your loss if you are making one, if possible. So I'd look at 3 million minimum for Lammers. He is obviously Dutch. He knows the league, so I think you two have done their homework. They've obviously studied it, how well he done previously in that league. So it makes sense possibly for him to go back there. The next player on the list was young Adam Devine. Went on loan to Motherwell, made 11 appearances. It was a bit of a surprise loan move, if I'm honest. I knew Kilmarnock were involved, interested as well, so I thought he'd have maybe went there, get a bit more game time, but seemed to have done quite well at Motherwell. He's a right back. There's always talk in this show about when Tav moves, do we have a right back? The obvious one just now would be Sterling, but we've seen of late the youth players are there ready to come in. We've seen Ross McCausland, Cole McKinnon, Robbie Fraser now. Does Adam Devine nip away at the team in the cup next season? JM.
I'm not sure is my answer. I'm not sure. I think when you watch, you have to be at a certain level because it's hard to get a chance at right back. Of course, he's our captain. Tavernier, stats speak for himself. It's hard to get in, but if you look at it, Patterson did. I know he didn't get a lot of starts tonight, but Patterson showed and everyone was talking about him. He's got his move. And because it is in the same position, I just don't hear the same conversations going on about Adam Devine. And the game, again, I know this is specific to him, but it comes back to a lot of our youth players who had these conversations. Does he look built enough for this league? I don't know. Is that something that can be worked on? Probably. I don't think he looks electric pace. I don't think he looks rapid. He's obviously a tidy footballer, otherwise he wouldn't be in our youth system. But I think there's question marks. You can't be, say, for example, I'm not even saying that we're going to, say we're replacing Tav next year. I don't think Adam Devine's stepping right into it. So it begs the question, what's he doing? Because I've been looking at a few just then while we've been talking about him. There's been a few games when Stephen O'Donnell started in front of him. So you're wondering why. I don't watch Motherwell, so I don't know why. But it asks the question, doesn't it? Because you like to think our next first choice right back, if that's what we're thinking, should be keeping Stephen O'Donnell out of the team.
Yeah, you're right, mate. It's Stephen O'Donnell. I expected him, when I looked at Abella, 11 appearances, I expected him to get a lot more because of who his competition was. I think it was Stephen O'Donnell or the boy Paul McGinn. They two were playing ahead of him, which again is a bit surprising. But
two experienced players, to be fair, but you think the guy would be going there on the promise of some certain game time, wouldn't you? So you suggest maybe he might not have shown enough to get ahead of them too, even though they are experienced pros, but he's looking to be bursting through and making an impression, not being put out by some old sort of journeyman.
GB, what about yourself? What's your thoughts on Adam Devine? Obviously had some game time previously, got that loan spell under his belt now. He can play a position that we've questioned quite a few times in terms of Tavernier moving.
I mean, again, he's one of the prospects, isn't it? You're just hoping that it kicks on, and bit like Lowry, then you go out on loan, you're just hoping to get that experience and can come back and compete and be challenging for a first team position. You know what I mean? But as Jim says, that he's probably kind of stole my point. God damn you! But when he's gone to a team like Motherwell, when he's gone to a team like Motherwell, and he's no grabbing the shot, that kind of tells me he's level kind of thing. And maybe it would have been better going to Kilmarnock. He might have got pushed me to be in the starting 11 more. But again, if you're not able to grab shots at Motherwell every other week, then how are you going to grab a shot in this Rangers first team, when we're wanting titles, we're wanting trophies? You know what I mean? And just look at some of the performances we've been getting as well. I'm not saying Adam Devine when the gee's on a Rangers shot, but I just think we're trying to build for better talent, unfortunately, and this is where these boys need to make their decision. I don't know what his contract is, Robert. I don't know how many years he's got left in his contract, but if it's anything less than 2, then I think the boy's got to consider his future at Rangers.
You should know me, mate. I always do my homework. This young team, he's contracted to 2025, so he's in his final year come the start of this season. So it may be one that you're right. Maybe move on. Or is it done enough to merit an extension? For me, I don't think so as well. So if he does move, wish him all the best. But again, I don't see him breaking into the squad as a kind of a replacement as such already. Potentially another number 2 backup to if it was Sterling, for example. By all means, absolutely. But again, I think it's a time we need to have a ready-made number 2, if that makes sense. GB?
Aye. Oh, no, I think the way it's kind of shaping up, and I know we'll touch on it later, about the kind of transfer rumours that's floating about. The way it's shaping up on that kind of left side, you're looking, like you say, you're getting 2 probably talented players challenging for the shot. I think, like I says, we've got to have that same on that right side as well. We've got to have somebody new pushing Tav. Tav's getting on a bit as well. He's making more mistakes now. And granted, he always digs his out holes and stuff like that, but we really need somebody now to try and, in this pre-season, we need somebody to come in and start pushing for that right side, or right full back even. And I just can't see it being young Devine. And like you say, he's only got a year left, so could be another one that if we can get out the door, then it frees up wages, helps the financial fair play, allows us to go out and probably spend and bring in a proper quality right back.
I suppose maybe the only thing it might have going from is he would fit that homegrown quota as a young boy coming through the youth ranks in terms of the coefficient, the qualifications for Europe and things like that. It might have that kind of knuckled down as a homegrown player. That might be a bit of an edge for him, but again, I don't think he's going to come in anytime soon. And once his contract runs out, if he does stay for another year, it's back up. I don't see him extending any further. Moving on to the last player, boys. It's one that we actually talked about back in January, and it is Yanis Hadji. Contracted till 2026, so in his last 2 years at the club, went on loan to Alaves in La Liga, 25 appearances, 2 goals, 2 assists. A player we know has the quality and has the ability, had a horrendous injury and went on loan to try and get some game time. I thought he'd have got a lot more minutes, if I'm honest, went in Alaves. But is he a player, JM, that could come back as a new signing almost? And does he fit the Clement style of that number 10 position?
Yeah, I think me and Ox had a chat about this last week. I'm actually not in it. It's the all over for Hadji camp, because I genuinely believe that in them front, if you like the front, he typically came off the right or maybe in a number 10. I think he's currently maybe better than what we've got. You can chat about stats and talk about how he's getting on, but I do believe he's somebody who's got an eye for goal and can provide assists. I remember in the 55s that he's in other games, he provides goals in moments and he takes shots, and I think we've missed somebody that will just do that naturally. Got a bit of a killer instinct, and again, I can't pretend I've watched one of his games while he's been away on loan. But the Hadji that I remember before an injury, and if I know when he went on the injury, he bulked up. If he's still
and we need to keep the quality level there as well. Hadji's definitely got the quality. The only thing that he's no got is the kind of pace, but as JM says, he's got that bit of killer instinct. He's got a bit of vision that he can get a shot away that nobody really sees. And it could as well, Robert, I think it could come down to this whole Cantwell situation as well. It depends if Cantwell's going to stay and how Clement's relationship continues with Cantwell, if they can actually either bury the hatchet or if there's an understanding there. There's no getting away from it that Cantwell's a great player, but it's whether he's got to fit into Clement's system going forward. And I think looking at Hadji, and I would imagine when Hadji was back in the Belgium league that Clement would have probably seen him play there as well. So it could be a player that says Clement doesn't need to spend money on, and like you says, maybe a new signing.
Can I just jump in there, sorry, quickly, Robert, just on something you mentioned, and I think we've talked about the club structure and that before.
Yep. The
decision that does need to be made this summer, though, doesn't it, when you say 2026? Because it doesn't take long before we start, and that's another player with a big name, which is an asset we could potentially lose, where we could be picking up some money for him. So I think if a decision is to be made, it needs to be this summer and not alone. It needs to be, you're staying, we're backing you, and then you might have to offer him another couple of years if you think it, or we're selling you.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on, mate. I think, was it almost, can't remember from the top of my head, is it 7 million in terms of what we paid for him in terms of a package? But again, as you said earlier, if these things are paid up or straight up. GB, you got another point on Hadji?
Aye, it was just when Jim was saying there about his kind of contract and stuff like that. The way that kind of Turkish league is now, and Galatasaray obviously have always kind of shown an interest in Hadji. I think they're a league now that is no real spending big and just looking for opportunities. So I think if there is a a chance that we could offload them and it's going to be Galatasaray, then I think Hadji would take that move. You mean just purely obviously because obviously his dad and stuff like that. I think that would be the move that he would make. But another one, like I says, I think that Clement needs to kind of have a look at and see where they're at in pre-season, because let's face it, the way Hadji was kind of pushed out the door was a strange one, considering how vital he was during 55 under Beale. I mean, I know it was Gerrard and Beale and that, but I'm really surprised at how Beale kind of treated Hadji, considering he was such a big game player during that kind of season.
You both make good points, and I think you're right, GB, in terms of if Galatasaray come in from just now, then again, it's probably a player that we could cash in on before Jeremy says that they're into the final year of the contract that can run down and you get nothing for it. I think that GB potentially has Hadji has the ability to make a difference, but I think it depends on what formation and what style Clement plays. I think just now in the 4-2-3-1, he would suit fine in that number 10 position, but I think if you were to change it to a free midfield, I would struggle to get Hadji in because I don't think he's that wide player. But certainly you can't disagree with his ability and the quality he's got. We've seen it in quite a few games when he was at the club. So if he does come back, I think, again, for me, it could be a new signing, but against a number 10 position that we seem to be quite full of. We've got Lawrence, Cantwell, Hadji if he comes back, McCausland's naturally a number 10. Diamondi could shift up there, so it's a bit of an overload, Jim.
Yeah, it isn't something we just sort, isn't it? Because there's a lot of them, and I think that's what we're finding now. We're trying to patch in the midfield with players that aren't playing naturally, even back to that game last weekend where we set up with a 4-4-1 with 10 men and we had Tom Lawrence in the heart of midfield. It's not his position. So need to clear out the overload in there, decide who we're committing to and build around that as well. But yeah, to go on that, be interesting to see if Hadji. I've got to be honest, I'm not banging the drum, dying for him to play, but I would trust the manager if he decided we were going to keep him. But like I said, if we were, I think it's got to be committed, and we then maybe have to gamble and offer him a bit more of a contract, because otherwise it'll be another one walking away for free.
No. Robert, can I just ask you, mate, just on the whole loan signings as a whole, as they say, just the players that you spoke about, where are you at with them all? And let's say, how do you think the loan signings have been overall at Rangers in the recent times? Do you think it's been a successful thing for us, or do you think it's been a bit of a letdown? Because there's been some that's, in my mind, there's been some that's successful, but obviously when you're mentioning all the players that's either out in loan or brought in loan, then I don't know if it's a good thing for our club.
I suppose it's like every signing you do, mate. It either works for you or it doesn't. Players are on the loan market for a reason. Either one, they're not good enough for the club they're at, or there's just somebody too good ahead of them and they need to go out and get game time. I think of the players that we've loaned in, it's sometimes worked in our favour. Other times it hasn't. You think of the likes of, obviously the biggest one, Aaron Ramsey, Amad Diallo from Man United. They didn't work. Silva this season hasn't worked. Diomande, he's technically is a loan signing, so he's worked. He came in midfield, he improved it. The players we put out on loan, it gets them off the wage bill to an extent if clubs are paying their wages in full. If they're paying majority, again, it helps the fees by getting some of these players out that you don't think you're going to have room for. But I suppose the question is, and it's a decision the manager has to make at the time, is, are these players going to be needed during a season? I mean, I know we said there are Sam Lammers. There was never a moment where JM was saying we need Sam Lammers, but when we were injury prone, he was maybe a player that was versatile along the front three, could play the left, right, or the striker, so could have made a difference. You'll never know, but I think it works for us if we do it correctly. But I think we need to be careful about how many we loan out and who we're loaning to, in terms of if players are going for development or if they're going for game time. And if we're getting players in on loan, we're getting players in that are going to improve the squad the starting 11 first of all, rather than the actual squad as a whole, but the starting 11 and not just a name like we did with Ramsey Diallo, because he was, again, this young boy signed by Man United from Atalanta for a heavy fee, didn't work out. Silva signed by Wolves for a heavy fee, didn't work out. So it's a risk worth taking, but sometimes it pays off. Ryan Kent, for me, when he signed initially on loan, he came in, he lit the place up, got us off the edge of our seats. That's like the loan player you're wanting, somebody that comes in, makes a difference, catches the eye, and then you get a permanent signing out of it. The fortunate thing is, Ryan Kent career ended at Rangers the way that we didn't want. He lost in money, so that's where it didn't go wrong. Didn't go right, but it went successfully right at the start. So I suppose in a whole, mate, it's 50-50, and that's the risk worth taking. And it's all about the decisions that the manager makes. If he thinks it improves the squad, then I'm absolutely behind it.
Aye, mate. Jim, would you look to go into the loan market this summer?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it done under the right, and if as long as it's not lazy, whatever. Obviously, they don't all work. There's a reason why, like us with Lammers and Cifuentes or whatever, there's reasons why clubs are putting them on loan. But I think if you're smart enough and not look at sort of the older players, but ones that might be at a Premiership or Championship club in England and they just can't get in the team because there's someone in front of them, but they need to develop. But you've got to be as shrewd as you are with your transfers of sight if you're actually buying them, because you're committing to a year, and with our budget you're probably committing a majority of your wages to get one of these players. So I've got no problems with the loan market, but like everything else, you just need to hope you get it right. And it can be the same with signing players. So like Robert said, Ryan Kent for a year, superb, wasn't it? Ended up signing him. And all in all, I know people talk, but he was a great servant and that can work. But we've also seen, like you said, your Ramseys of the world where you're maybe a bit lazy in signing a name. So, no, nothing wrong. And I think you'll probably find we maybe are bringing in one or two loans. Just get a feeling, because we're not going to be able to buy all the players we want.
I think, let's say, the Seamers and stuff like that have kind of been a bit of a success as well. It's just, let's say, we just hope that if we do go down the pathway, like say Cortez and stuff like that, when we're signing them permanent, that they don't bring their injuries with them. Robert, mate, brilliant topic. It's took us right up to tune time. So thanks very much for bringing that up, mate, and thanks for letting us involving the people in the socials there. It was some good questions came for that as well. So I make great topic, and after the tune, JM, you're up next, bud, with your topic on the social media side of things. So looking forward to that as well, mate, if that's all right with yourself.
Not a problem. See how we get on, won't we?
Excellent, mate, excellent. Robert, happy? Did you hopefully got all your answers you were looking for, bud?
This doesn't have a right answer, a wrong answer on this show, mate. It's all about opinions, and I think, again, there was nothing there that we definitely agreed on in terms of should a player have had an impact, could they have stayed, are they going to come in? So it's always good to hear different opinions. It would be good to hear what the callers think as well. Obviously got some interaction on the socials, which is good, but as the show is, it's a 4-inch show, so we need to get the calls in. Let's see your thoughts and gives you opinions on the players that are coming back from their loans, if they're going to be involved or not. But it was good.
Right, boys, well, we're at that time of the night, so get yourselves on mute, because we're going to have a tune.
I close my eyes and picture the lovely Ibrox Sea. I never even think on these shades of green. The lads that I will sing about, King William's chosen few, are a credit to our loyal club in their shirts of royal blue. Think that I can see again Davy Wilson on the wing, Miller, Brand and Henderson, the praises we did sing. Greg and Shearer played their part, and Slim Jim Baxter too, and they lifted many trophies in their shirts of royal blue. the Hibs, the Hearts, the Celtic, the two teams in Dundee, and the Northern Lights of Aberdeen don't mean that much to me. And other teams throughout the land have supporters, just a few, but the team we love is Rangers in the shirts of royal blue. Think that I can see again Davy Wilson on the wing, Miller, Brand and Henderson, the praises we did sing. Greg and Shearer played their part and Slim many trophies in their shirts of royal blue, and lifted many trophies in their shirts of royal blue.
Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to Rangers Radio.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Thanks very much for that, old school Blue. And another wee blast there. I'll tell you something, a Tuesday night is always interesting because we never know what topic's going to pop up or what tune, so it's all go in here. And Robert, just to let you know, we talk about these socials, that wee gang in that YouTube, they're asking about other clubs, no football clubs in Holland, so you'll need to direct them to the correct places, mate.
I don't know if I'm the best one to answer that, mate. Mrs. might
What about you, Jay? Maybe JM, he might be best for all that.
That's absolute slander, by the way. No, not a chance. Not a chance. We'll have to pass them on. Maybe Bridgman.
Aye, Bridge will know, definitely. Right, JM, the seat is all yours, mate. And again, another interesting topic to talk about, mate.
Yeah, I thought we'd touch on just after the last couple of days, or the day or so, really. And it's not just about him, but it's been highlighted from Mr. Todd Cantwell. I thought we'd dive into what's coming more and more into play in the last sort of 5 years or so with social media and players. So I'd like to open up and I'll ask yourself, GB, do you care what players put on their social media account?
It depends, JM, right? So I do enjoy the interaction sometimes, and it's great to see, let's say, some of the pictures, like especially when we won the league trophy there, the players back at Edmonton House, and you're getting to see all their Instagram posts and the live videos and stuff like that. It's good to kind of be a part of it and see how the squad's feeling, kind of thing. But I think certain players have just got to read the room a wee bit, depending how the season's going and stuff like that. It's maybe better to keep your powder dry at times, because you always seem to, feed the media that's against us and stuff like that if you get it wrong. So for me, I don't mind it. It's a modern age. I think, like I says, there's that many apps out there that you can get involved with, and even on here, like you see with Rangers Radio and stuff like that. But it's, again, you've just got to kind of read the room at certain times of the season and just be mindful of, like I says, how people are feeling, because you can be a hero 1 minute and then you can be a zero just because of one post. So you've just, I think that, like I says, the players just need to be a wee bit more mindful, I think, mate.
Yeah, no, I get that. So, Rob, what JB is saying there, Robert, obviously with you saying about players, GB says about reading the room and whatnot. Do you think maybe this goes into a culture thing? Maybe the manager's going up. Do you think there's enough people at our club making the play? Because our club's unique, isn't it? You get the players down in England, they can post what they want, but is there enough people, whether that be professionals in the club or people in the background, not making players aware of what they should be posting and when and reading the room?
I think it would be hard to try and keep up with the way things are these days of what you can and what you can't post. 1 minute you can post this and next minute you can't post this. So a lot of things change in terms of what's seen as, I guess, say, harmful, for a better phrase. I just think I'm a GB. I think it's a good thing that the players can have that interaction with the fans, but it's if it's used right. Do the club need to do more in terms of it? I don't know. They obviously have their. I'd imagine they would have some sort of kind of social media liaison or something that would maybe educate them in how to handle it and how to use it. But at the end of the day, they're not the ones sitting with the phone in their hand or the computer hitting post or send. It's down to the player themselves, and I think at times it has to come down to the player as a person, what they post, and if they're thinking of the bigger picture at that moment in time of where it is they're posting, whether it's a joyous post or a controversial post or a like or anything that is going to get frowned upon. As you said, our club is unique that every single thing is checked with a fine tooth comb, that whatever a player posts or likes, it's going to be picked up by the media and the kind of newspapers, and whether it's the true story or not, they'll twist it and make it into something it's not. So again, could the club do more in terms of liaison? Possibly, but I think it's more down to the player and how they are as a person and thinking about the bigger picture and how it affects not just them but the club as a whole and the kind of the fan base behind it.
So do you think, Jamie, we as supporters and whatever are too sensitive about these sort of things, and we need to realise that it's just part of the modern age and what they do? Do you think we can overreact? Because like we said, we love the interaction and everything when we're winning, like you say, the Emerson House stuff, the stuff behind the scenes. But then let's use Todd example again. Todd posted a picture of him on the pitch, whatever, with a little tone, and then everyone's jumping down his throat. Are we too sensitive, or is that, for example, a misjudgment from Todd putting that on? GB.
Mate, do you know something? There probably is. There's probably a certain, would I say, old school that are probably a bit miffed with it. With Todd Cantwell post, considering we had the draw at the weekend and considering how we're kind of hurting for the title and stuff like that. But if you flipped it, see if we won at the weekend and Todd Cantwell posted the exact same post, then we're probably all right behind it. You know what I mean? We're probably on it, going like, yes, get into it and fired up for the cup final and stuff like that, because he's doing the kind of the shushing thing to like the fans and stuff like that, showing his class, showing how good a player he is and stuff like that. But again, it's just kind of reading the room. I think there's just a time and place, and he probably just needed to keep the powder dry this week. And it's a shame because he's had to take it down. I mean, because and this is what he opens himself up for. He posts a post and he's opens himself up for abuse, and we don't want to have that. We've seen that was happening even sometimes at the ground when there's fans moaning on about not getting a tap sign and stuff like that. I know the players have got a certain responsibility to the fans, but again, they've got a life as well outside the Rangers. And like I says, I think we just need to be a wee bit more respectful. We've got our own standards as fans, and we don't want to kind of drop them either. We don't want to start going down the route that we're abusing players left, right and centre, because they're only human as well.
No, 100% I agree. And I think there's a few people in on the social just asking what Todd Cantwell's sort of done or anything, as if we're talking about something really controversial. To be honest, not really. He's posted a couple of things on his Instagram. One of them celebrating from the weekend scoring a goal, which he's happy to. And then there was a couple of things on his Instagram story where he's shushing and having a little joke about maybe scoring, a goal against Hearts, which is fine. But I think where fans maybe got miffed is the context of how our season's currently going and the fact that we drew the game, and maybe it shows that he's not understanding what's it about. So I'll ask you that question, Robert. Does that from Todd maybe suggest he's not quite getting what we're all about here, or maybe further that he's not caring about the result as always scoring? I mean, I'm not saying it does, but I'm thinking, is that what people are thinking, and what do you think? Because personally, me being a Rangers fan and knowing what it's about, I'm not posting that because I understand what it means and people aren't going to like it.
I think there's a few posts that you could say it would have been best to be not posted. The one about shushing the Hearts fans, players get a lot of stick from the sidelines and from the stands, and the only way they can maybe let out some sort of exuberance or some lot of kind of backlash back is on social media. 'Cause if they do it in the park, you know, they're going to get sent off. It's going to cause mayhem. It's all over the papers. Social media is a kind of way that they can let off a bit of steam, and by putting a shush, it's just a reaction back that I don't think. I think it's because it's Todd Cantwell. We might be looking too much into it, but I think that's because of his previous posts. We know how much he is on social media. Other ones are on social media and they don't post as much as he does, but there's nothing wrong when Tavernier posts a picture of him swinging a baseball bat as a celebration, because that's his celebration. We don't look into it as that. So again, for me, it comes down to the player. But I think at times it just comes down to not seeing that big image as you're seeing, that the bigger picture of, if I post this, what's going to be the consequences? And that's a question that they need to think before they post. I'm totally fine with them posting things and having that interaction, as I says. I mean, if Todd Cantwell puts on a night Battle Fever, we're all going to be singing it and loving it. And
everybody's saying Todd's the man, isn't they? If he puts
exactly.
That
So
on,
it depends on what the post is and when the post is. I think you're either behind it or you're against it. It's like VAR.
100. Yeah, it is maybe less controversial than that. I mean, he's done some great things as well on it, Todd. You know, he does interaction with fans. He's done boot giveaways. It's all good, and this isn't a slamming of Todd. It's maybe more the fact that the culture of our team and maybe of the club in general. I remember at the start of the season when we drew away at Kilmarnock, Raskin posting pictures and that, almost showing up as he's playing now. I also know that these people have, you know, players may have social media managers and that not reading the room and that sort of situation. You've got to remember that it's also businesses for these people, and there's maybe advertising on it as well, and they're not always in control of what they post. I mean, it's not the sort of first time we've had it. I remember. Do you remember back in 2012 when, 2013 it would have been, when all the players were posting on Twitter they were in Nando's GB, and there was the famous banner: less time tweeting, more times training.
Aye. Again, that was it kind of in its infancy as well, JM. But again, it allowed us to interact with the players directly. Back in the day, you would have to go to a social event or something like that to even get near a player, and even probably when, as we're going to touch on later, with the kind of the Scottish Cup back in 2002, you had to go for signing days and stuff like that. You just didn't get that interaction. So, I mean, for me, it's overall, JM, it's a good thing, because when you see the wee post, remember like Leon Balogun as well, when he's posting with Diamande and that, and the African Nations Cup was going on and stuff like that, you get to see the banter in the changing room and stuff. And by the way, I'm like you, mate. I'm no against Todd Cantwell at all. Like, this is definitely not a passion for me either. I think most of Todd Cantwell's posts and stuff like that are brilliant, and I do like him winding up Chris Sutton and stuff like that. I just think it depends on the manager as well, because the manager doesn't seem to kind of embrace it either. I think he's wanting full focus on what's happening in the team. But again, we've got to all understand that it is a modern world, and it is a big platform to expose yourself on, and even like you've touched on, JM, with the business side of it as well. I mean, you've got to get your name out there, and I think Todd's just, sometimes I think he's so passionate, and I think that's what sometimes gets him in trouble.
Yeah, 100%. And Robert, I think maybe if we're going, I mean, not as dramatic as this one at the end, but it might have even stopped him at the season. I think everyone at the time was laughing the famous 56 on the shorts, and obviously that hasn't come to fruition yet. Maybe, hopefully, and fingers crossed it will next year, but maybe just a case on, and maybe a lesson for all the ones coming in, that let's get our business done on the field first, let the season finish, and then enjoy ourselves.
Absolutely, mate. You do your talking on the park, and it's fine to have interaction, and it's fine to have banter. But when it comes down to the serious business of what your job is as a professional footballer, the actions that you do on the park mean more to your support than the actions you do off it on TikTok or Instagram or whatever social media you're on. So if they can contribute their efforts on the park to being successful, then post all the pictures from the night out at the end of the season enjoying yourselves.
100%, and we'll all be enjoying the videos and that after they lift the cup on Saturday, won't we?
We will,
Absolutely.
Giant. What about you, mate? How do you feel about it? Do you think it's overall like for even not so much Cantwell's post, but like the other players like post on it?
My opinion is completely it's reading the room, and if I'm maybe a bit over it and getting impassioned, to me like Todd posting out or anybody posting, or even Kamaru during the week when he's posting a little video of Diamond and them messing about in the change rooms, I can see how it annoys people, not just in the old school. Because it does kind of annoy me. I'm thinking, can you not read the room here? Are you this desperate to post something to who? They all have their own private stuff as well. Do you know what I mean? They'll all have their own family and friends when they can interact with. And by the way, rightly so, they're people with lives and that as well. But I just think I'd like to see people reading the room a bit more, because to me that maybe leaves less questions around. Do they get it, and what are they interested in, and do they care? Because unfortunately, this is what we think like as fans, isn't it? Cantwell doing that is you'll have people going, oh, he doesn't care less about us. He's just happy that he scored a goal. For the sake of posting a picture. I don't know if it's worth it, in my opinion.
Aye. No, I agree, mate. I agree. Like I think we've all kind of touched on it with your topic, mate, is that it's just about reading the room, and there's a time and place to how would you say, lap it up?
Yeah, you should be allowed. Of course you could. And by the way, so they should lap up when they do something good and they're getting the praise, because they get enough even though we all feel the sticks, rightly so, they'll feel like they get a lot of unnecessary sticks. So rightly so, they should be able to lap it up. It's a balancing act in reading it, isn't it? You know, give it a few weeks once things settle down, and we might even win at the weekend. People are going to get pumped and ready for the next season, and everyone's going to be back. Everyone's going to be backing them again to the hill and back. But the last week or so has just been a little bit sour, hasn't it? So read the room is all I'd say to everyone. Read the room.
Brilliant, mate. Well, again, mate, it's another interesting topic, and it would be great to hear for the listeners. Like I say, it is a phone-in show, peeps. I know we're interacting on the socials tonight as well a wee bit more, but like I say, if you have got a point in anything like this with the social media side of things, how the team should be maybe focusing more on the football side of it rather than themselves, even Robert's points about the loans, then it'd be really good to hear from you. So let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Right, boys, brilliant. That is two good topics, and let's just hopefully the listeners will come in and add to it. We've got about 45 minutes left, so we'll move on to my topic, since I was the one doing the pecking order. Right, so the cup final, it's been a bit of a noise made around about that it's been so long since there's actually been an old firm Scottish Cup final. And from all accounts, the last one was back in 2002 when probably Robert's out running around the streets and JM's out tearing it up with Lucas said bottles and all the rest of it. So but I think if I'm doing my calculations right, Robert, I think the two you boys were a lot younger than me. I think I'm adding it up as I was 16 at the time. Boys, you want to let us know what age you were kicking about it?
I was 7 years old.
I was 7 or 8, but I was about to. I need to. I was 7. Yeah, the same.
Right, well, I'm going to be fair to you then, right? So what I'll do is I'll give you the team, because like I would only imagine there's got to be flashbacks and video memories of that game, and probably the biggest one that stands out is big Lovenkrands for the Bayfies. So I'll go to jump in the time machine for these, and I'll read out the team for that day. So it was Big Kloss in goal. It was Maurice Ross, Craig Moore, Amoruso, Newman, Rickson, De Boer, Ferguson, Lovenkrantz, McCann, and Kinija. That was a starting 11.
Do you think any of them would get in this team now?
Oh, mate. Well, I think they would all get that position out. They'd push every single one of that starting 11 at the road, wouldn't
they? Maybe just. We've got goalkeeper, maybe just.
No, you're right. Maybe Butland and that, aye. But that front line, man. Well, there you go. Look at the wingers. We've got McCann and we've got Lovenkrantz, and we had De Boer and Kinija. and then when Ferguson was sitting in midfield as well. I mean, it's just awesome times. I mean, but saying that, we had a new manager in that December, the December before that. So it was McLeish came in to replace Advocat from memory, and he got the double. He got the cup double, and our manager knew was pressing on for this cup double. And I can mind at the time, and like I said, I know you were young, but I can mind at the time that it was quite a big celebration on that day, that when we won the Scottish Cup, and the talk about over exuberance. Like I says, the way when Lovencrantz put that third goal in for us, I mean, the happiness and joy that it brought the Rangers fans, you wouldn't have knew that we lost the league that season. Sorry, Robert.
No, you wouldn't, mate. In any trophy you win is obviously wanted and granted and successful. More the better, obviously. But if you've got a double and your rivals have only got one, yes, it's a league title, but you've got 2 cups. Back then, for me, I'm yourself. I remember it as that was big, winning 2 cups out of 3. Especially when you change a manager early on in the season. And as I said, I was only 7 years old, but the memories of that day were a proper cup tie, a proper Old Firm game, the way it used to be, of frantic end to end, going behind, leading, going behind, leading, and then the Lovencrantz. I still remember the commentary. I think it was Ian Crocker, shows how old he is, still on the commentary. Is there going to be a twist in the tail? And Lovencrantz, there he is. And he always scored against Celtic, so it just shows you that these games, that they're made for cup finals, mate. And I think it's more. I think when you look at it, 22 years since the last one it's amazing. It's been that long. So hopefully we go out and do the job on Saturday, and as you said, replicate that league double, because it could spiral on to the next season. I know this season hasn't ended well in terms of the league, the way we wanted it to, but if you finish the last game of the season as a cup winner, that's a bit of a momentum boost in my eyes going into next season, and it maybe gives you that drive and hunger to go and retain the 2 cups you're holding, but go and get that league back as well.
Mm-hmm. Aye. I think, well, it does start to, hopefully, that whoever's left out of the squad starts to breed the kind of winning mentality. I mean, that day, the cup final, I think Celtic took the lead twice in that game, and the team came back pretty quickly. I mean, Lovencrantz, I think it was Hartson scored first, and then Lovencrantz scored only a couple of minutes later. And then I think it was that big Bobo Baldi went and scored in the second half, and then big Barry Ferguson rocked up with a free kick. So we had a bit of resilience then with that team, even though I would imagine the season wasn't going great because of the league side of things. But it just shows you this is what we need to kind of breed into this current team. We need to show that resilience, that we're not going to lie down, and we need to keep coming back, and we need to clinch the moments. And there's like Lovencrantz gets that third goal and wins the cup within the 90. I mean, it's the kind of moments where we're seeing with us, that's the free draws, the Ibrox game with the free draw with Celtic as well. We need to be more resilient, and we just need to end the game. We need to take our big moments.
Yeah, 100%. I think what's important though, that was still a team of winners with the core in there, wasn't? They'd all won trophies the season before. You know, they're ball winners. They're out to get the revenge. They didn't stop playing depending on what manager came in. And yeah, you remember it. It's a classic game. One of the first games I could actually, I think, because of the quality of the game, and maybe because you go back and watch it, you get vivid memories of like the moments and that and the match and different things. But it was a classic match. I think Ferguson even hit the bar before he scored that free kick, almost scored a screamer. And if we did have VAR then, we maybe wouldn't have had that moment with Lovencrantz, but we would have been taking a penalty. Do you remember the penalty that never got given for the push in the back?
Yep.
Yeah, we didn't have VAR then, so yeah, it would have been interesting. But no, a classic game. And by the way, if we're to go in this one, though, no joking aside, we're down at the moment, but there'll be the same celebrations from our fans this time, because it still means as much. It's just flat, and rightly so after what's gone on in the league. But by the time Friday, Saturday comes, the celebrations will be the same.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%. Like I says, do you know something? I do feel confident about this weekend because I think, like I says, I think across the city would have been breathing a sigh of relief because they did get the title. I think, like I says, they've kind of go to jail a wee bit in a sense, and I think, like I says, this week could be our week to, like you says, clinch the double. Just a wee kind of quiz question for the twos, if you twos might come off mute. Who do you think that season in 02, who do you think was the top goal scorer for Rangers that season overall in all competitions?
Is this a quiz question now?
Aye. I know you're only 7. So,
there we go. Was Avalanche there?
He was there, aye. Mm-hmm.
I'll say Ronald de Boer.
Right, okay. Jim, you going with somebody?
I'll go with Shotter.
Right, now, I didn't know this answer either, so I had to look it up, so I cheated, right? But and I was shocked at the answer. It was big Tory Andrew Flo was the top goal scorer for Rangers that season.
You just wouldn't think it, would you? As in, there'll obviously be older people than that obviously know that, but the bloke was obviously for the signing, and that was considered a big flop, wasn't it? So you wouldn't have thought he was goal. God, is there a hint of the Dessers about it?
But well, that's
how many goals.
Sorry.
I don't know. I'll pass that to you, Robert. You can do a bit of digging in the gut.
Right, well done,
don't expect too much, Robert. Uh-huh.
But no, Jim, you're right. Like I says, there is a touch of Dessers about that with flow and stuff like that. Because when you go on about stats and stuff like that, Dessers' stats look good on paper. Flow's stats looked really good on paper, but yet he was termed as a failure. And this is where Dessers really needs to, again this Saturday, he needs to step up to the mark. I know he's not had much rest, and hats off to him. He's been fit and available in most weeks, but again, we need him. We need him to put these chances away come the weekend.
Yeah, a bit like the manager for different reasons. Not that he's under pressure, but there's a monkey you need to get off the back as quick as possible, and that's winning one of these games. And I know Dessers has scored a goal in it, but he's also missed big chances. And again, like some of his players, still not won a game. So if he can contribute by scoring a goal, having a good game in a Rangers win, it'll go a long way. First of all, we're going to win a cup. And second of all, building up the momentum for next year.
Mm-hmm. No.
Believe it or not, lads, Tory Andre Flo get 18 goals that season.
I would have never said that because I knew there was a lot of turmoil running about him at that time, especially when McLeish came in and stuff like that, and it was always an advocate signing and stuff. So, I wouldn't have said that.
Well, from memory, I don't know if you maybe digging in because we don't know we're going to get criticised by the old guy, but from memory, he weren't on the pitch in that game. So whether he was injured or he just wasn't fancy by then, I don't know. But from memory, I don't remember being on the pitch in that game.
For the research that I'd done, it was only big show at Avalanche actually, I think, got on the park that day. There was nobody else within the 90 minutes. I can't remember. I'll do look at it again, but like he says, there is a wee bit of comparisons with the scenario that happened. And by the way, if we win the Scottish Cup at the weekend, we get a double, and this propels us on a treble the following season. Now, I know that's grasping considering the way our seasons went, but I mean, stranger things have happened. Would we have honestly thought back in 02 that we would have went on and won a treble the following season? I don't know. I don't think so. I didn't see it as much as I was a 16-year-old boy. I was just happy to actually see trophies at Rangers at that point in time because we were in a bit of turmoil at that time.
No, true. I'm just looking now. Obviously, it was a bit different, and there was only 5 subs, and the bench was Tory Andre Flo, Christian Erlinger, Tony Vidmar, and go on. Who was the final sub of the 5?
Oh, Stephen Smith.
Come on, Robert. 2002. Who was the sub?
Bert Conant.
Alan McGregor.
Alan McGregor? No way.
Of course.
Yeah, Alan McGregor.
God's sake. All right, okay. Definitely get back to the books, man. Ox will be shooting at us, man, with our knowledge.
we're just doing our research live. But
That's it. Hold on,
Alan
check Google.
Yeah, Alan McGregor is on the bench. When you think about it, that's actually unbelievable, isn't it? How long he's been involved? He was involved. Sorry.
Oh, wild. Right, well, I'll give the starting 11 again, and let's say we'll have a wee bit of fun with it. You can only pick one player to go into your squad for Saturday, right? So I'll read it out again. We've got Kloss, Morris Ross, Craig Moore, Amoruso, Newman, Rickson, De Boer, Ferguson, Lovencrantz, McCann, and Caniggia. Who are you picking, Robert? You go first, mate.
I'm torn between two, if I'm honest. I won't say them because Joy will steal the other one. Let him think. Barry Ferguson.
Good choice, Giant, mate.
Was going to be my first choice. I think it's a no-brainer. But then my second choice would be between the two of them. I think Big Amoruso. Between the two centre-backs, but I'm going to go with Amoruso.
That was my second choice as well. Big Amo.
What about you, GB?
Do you know my choice? And just again, it's just because I'm a fanboy. I mean, it says De Boer. I just thought he was just different class.
That's what we need. Another number 10.
Aye.
That's just what we need. You're
He
spot
can
on.
play it in the right though. He can play it in that right hand side.
You're spot on. Another number 10 with a far more quality, but another one that can't, not as quick either. Spot on.
Oh no, take his goals, mate. Honestly, his class as well. At times, I tell you, I would love to see that technical ability back at Ibrox at some point. It's just, I mean, I wish his brother came a bit earlier and all. It would have been good to see them in a kind of winning squad, playing together in their team. It was mental at the times, wasn't it? The twos can come off mute. It was mental at the times that we were going to Barcelona and taking players for there. Imagine that now.
I know. You think Arteta the follow would that have been the following year? Players like, you know what I mean? It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Maybe something. Aye, maybe something you can put out in this. Keep an eye out in the socials, Robert. Well, that's the question. What is the wildest transfer speculation you've heard for Rangers players, especially around that time? I think was there no something crazy that we even before Arteta were looking at Messi at one point? I don't know if that's all paper talk.
I had seen that.
I think that came out a bit wild with like McLeish when I think it was a relative, when it would be a nephew or someone. McLeish said that he had told him to look on Football Manager. There's this kid Messi that he's pretty good. I think the wildest one that has actually been sort of slightly backed up by the player himself was old R9 Ronaldo, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was sort of. I think the deal was maybe just Champions League football or something ridiculous. He was only going to come and play in the Champions League, but was it Inter Milan he then went to for whatever, and then other things. Obviously, you know, who can knock a bloke for going to Inter Milan instead of playing away and wherever. But there was some sort of speculation at the time, or chats about him just coming and playing in Champions League football, which would have been incredible, wouldn't it?
Oh, wild times. But again, kind of like I says, we're going back to kind of the comparisons, boys, that Robert we're touching on it, the double. It could this weekend. It could actually, let's say, help the squad. It could breed that kind of winning mentality into them, especially for the players that are leaving, and then the players that are obviously staying. They know where I mean, they'll get that reaction again of what they've seen at the League Cup. I mean, the League Cup back at Edmund's House was a tiny portion of what they're going to get if they win a title. I mean, you see the scenes of 55, and that's us restricted with COVID. Can you imagine that we are allowed to be let loose with a title win? How these players are going to be lauded and stuff like that. So it's very important, I think, this weekend that come on. More so for his kind of records so far against Celtic, but if he gets his tactics right, I think he can take them, Robert.
For me, mate, I think the selection this weekend is as important as the application we put into the game. And I think that's when we need to kind of look at them. And I know we don't compare ourselves at all, but when we look at their midfield, we don't lay a glove on them. McGregor can stroll about that park controlling the game for 90 minutes with no one within 10 yards of him. The only time that I've seen him get pressed was the 3-0 game at Ibrox when the season was over and Todd Cantwell stuck to him like a glove. That was it. Until that game, there was nothing, and now there's nothing. They play 3, we play 2, so we need to shore up the midfield. For me, I know it's the last game, I know it's a cup final. Formation change has to be in the thinking for Clement. And I know we're saying here it could spur the players on, it could get that factor. I think it needs to. For a lot of the players that are staying, it needs to, because they don't want to start thinking about the negatives of, oh, we missed out in the league. We were in a title race, we bottled it. We went to a cup final. We regret 100% everything. I think they need to win for the ones that are staying. For the ones that are going, as I said earlier, it's the last time they'll put on a Rangers jersey. They'll never play with a bigger club. It might be the last cup final they play in. It'll be the last Old Firm they play in. Last time you wear that famous jersey. All I ask on Saturday is whoever is selected, go out in the park, give it your all, leave everything on that park and walk off with no regrets. The only thing you should be walking away with at the end of that game is a winner's medal and a trophy and a party back at Ibrox.
Aye. Robert, I think earlier on you seen a question on about the team, and it was about John Lundstrom. If you can look at who asked that question, you can come back in on it, mate.
Yeah, mate, 2 seconds. I did take a note of it. I think it was.
Go and have a look. I'll go to JM and I'll come back to you. It's something we'll discuss the team as well and get a hold of your team, mate. But if you just check back the socials, because I'm sure somebody asked about Lundstrom earlier. JM, I mean, come on, this weekend. Do you think the fans will go a bit tonto if he goes with the same tactics again? If he goes a bit wet behind the ears and leaves this big open space again for the likes of O'Reilly to run into and all that, Kieran? If he does, I'm not going to be happy, because he's got to learn for his mistakes here.
Yeah, 100%. People are going to start asking questions now. I think we have to remember that, and his argument might be that he's governed with who's available. But if you've got players available that can't play the way you actually want to play, then as a manager, show your capabilities of a manager. You've got to mix it up a little bit, haven't you? I think eyebrows were raised as soon as he started with Lawrence again away there in the number 10 position, whereas in the game at Ibrox, he showed he weren't up to the speed of that game against them, and right away it asked questions. Big Sterling again getting moved around. I think even South Sides being maybe pressure to saying that we might need him in the middle for these games now. He prefers him at right back, but I think if we go another game, if he's fit, he was on the bench at weekend. And obviously if the 2 centre-halves are fit, there's a lot of ifs and buts, but I think we just need to get the energy in there. I think we showed in the second half, even with Raskin in there that hadn't played a lot of football, as soon as you get a bit of pace in there, you level out the playing field a little bit. So I think it's important we get the engine room sorted first of all. I'm not worried about what they will do. I'm worried about which level of Rangers shows up, because we've shot ourselves a foot a lot of times in these games.
Personally, I'm worried about the tactics. That's what I'm worried about. I don't want him going back into this again with this. This is allowing them to just run riot in that midfield. He's had that shot now, but it's that going to be 3 times before this game. So if he goes back in there and just allows them to have time and space to run on balls and hit crosses in, then I'm going to be very disappointed. And Jim, I'll come back to you with your team. So if you want to start thinking about your team for the weekend, mate, we'll get a wee listen to that as well, mate. All right?
Yep, no bother.
Right, we'll jump back to yourself, Robert. Did you find to ask that wee question about Lundstrom?
Yeah, mate. David Cameron asked, do we trust Big John, as in Lundstrom, for the final? Obviously, he's served his ban, so he is eligible to play.
Right, well, I'll let you answer the first bit, and the other question I'll add on to that is, does he walk straight back into that team, Robert, as well? So on you go, mate. I'll let you take that one.
Cheers, aye. That's the bottom straw here. Do we trust them? Yes. I think we'd have learned his lesson from letting down the players, letting down the manager, and letting down the support at a crucial game that was season defining. The only flip side of that is it's going to potentially be his last game, and I don't think he would want to go out the way he would be if he wasn't in the squad. I don't think he starts though. I think he's on the bench. But I think he'd rather leave on a memorable day than a red card.
Okay. Just before I go to JM, I'll give you my answer on it, David. Personally, I think we can trust him to go in there and do a job. And I think the manager, he's that stubborn, and he's kept continually saying that Lundstrom's one of his kind of lieutenants in that midfield. So I think he'll go straight back into the squad. Personally, would I do it? I would say aye, because it's all about winning the cup for me. Baskin showed signs that he's been decent in there and he's good at winning the ball back, but I think you might find, hopefully, we'll get a John Lundstrom on Saturday that's, like you say, it's the swan song, goes out there and puts in hopefully a man of match performance and helps us bring him the cup. JM.
I think, even though it was terrible, I think you can trust him. It's not like he's really done it before. It was it was a rash moment, and it can happen in football. All players at all levels have done it, and have done it on big occasions, so trust isn't an issue. And I think, and I'm going to say unfortunately, because if he's fit, bear in mind the manager said last week he hasn't trained. If he's fit, I think he does start the game.
Aye, I think, Robert, you've got to go with your strongest squad, haven't you? You've got to have experience in there. Technically, John Lundstrom's got that as well. Again, Raskin's not done anything wrong for me. They just need to, I don't know, they need to get that better understanding with him, and Diamandi need to get a better understanding. I don't think that's clicked. As much as Diamandi's done no bad since he's came in, I don't think they've striked up a good partnership yet. And obviously it's not going to develop because obviously he's leaving and that, but I'm hoping Saturday it clicks in some shape or form, Robert.
I suppose you're hoping, but as you say, Raston's not done anything wrong. He's came in, he's looked the kind of guy that is doing the press. He's a bit of fight, a bit of that hunger in him. So that's why I would, if Lundstrom wants to be part of the squad, and I think the manager will want him part of the squad, he'd be on the bench for me. I think Raskin's shown enough in the past couple of games that there's fight, there's desire to get the ball. He's keen to get on the ball, and he doesn't look like a guy who's been out of action for a while. He's coming in. I know we said earlier on there's nobody come in and grab the jersey, but that's the one position I thought maybe Raskin just edges it over Lundstrom because of the tenacity that Raskin's got, and he might be that pit bull that we need. That was his nickname back in Belgium, pit bull. One that we need to fucking take control. We know what Diomande can bring. We've seen what Diomande and Lundstrom can do, but that's as a two. I think we need to change formation and pack the midfield. And if you're saying you're starting Raskin and Diomande, if you're putting one other, for me, you have to put John Sterling in there and not John Lundstrom. I'm not giving my team away yet though.
Oh, nearly got it. We've always said that in the midfield, that's where the 9 times out of 10 the game's won. I know you sometimes need a striker up front to kind of have that match winner or whatever, but like I says, that midfield, it's the same across the city. It's the midfield that's winning the battle now, and the manager's got to do something about it. I'm not going to ask your team just quite yet, but how is the manager going to find that balance in that midfield? Is he going to change tactics, do you think?
He needs to get legs in there to start with. I think, my opinion, you need to get legs in there to start with, and maybe need to get the slight shape. And if we're not going to dominate the ball and keep it well, which we're not, you can't afford to have a number 10 who's not going to be tracking or caught in between responsibilities, getting forward and tracking them in. Because like we said before, you end up with a 3-on-2 in there, and they've got good players, not special players, but they've got good players. So 3-on-2, they're going to keep passing it and keep running off the ball, and they're clever with their runs. I've seen that. They're well drilled. and they've been playing together all season, a couple of seasons, and they're well drilled. So if we don't match them up with legs in there with some sensible shape, we're going to be outplayed. It's where we've lost the game every time we've played them this year.
Yeah, well said, mate. Right, we're in the last 15 minutes. It's a call-in show. Let's have some callers in before the end of the show. If not, we'll keep a wee eye out for your questions in the social media side of things. All right, so let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
It's a nice wee fast drum beat there at the end, isn't it? Right, okay, since we're in the last 15, we'll go to Robert for his team for the weekend.
Right. Are we going on the basis that the players that we're missing, like Balogun, Suter, are available, or are we going with if they're 70%, you're risking them? Because I would.
Right, okay, we'll go with let's risk them because it's the end of the season, so we're no
And
bother.
is this our teams? Is this our teams, or is it?
Oh, right. I tell you what, since we've got the time, so we'll do both, right? So we'll do. Jaime, you'll have the time. Robert, I can come back to you on your manager's team. What we'll do is we'll go for your team that you would pick, and then we'll go for what we think the manager will pick. All right, and everybody's fully fit. All right, apart from the obvious ones, Danilo, Cortez, and all the rest of it.
Aye.
The ones that have been kicking, the ones that are just recently injured, they're all fit and well, ready to go. All right. So, Robert, go with your team for the weekend then, mate.
So I'd line up in a 4-3-3, and I'd go Butland, Tav, Balogun, Davies, Yilmaz, Diomande, Raskin, Sterling, Sima on the right, Dessers up front, and Silva on the left.
Like it, mate. No, it's solid. And the 4-3-3's done as well, Robert, in the past. I mean, that was Gerrard's.
Robert, I'm so sorry, Robert. Quickly do that. You completely broke up for me. Can you quickly go through that team again?
Yep. Butland, Tav, Balogun, Davies, Yilmaz, Diomande, Raskin, Sterling, Sima, Dessers, Silva.
Giant speechless.
Yeah, it's identical to what I've written down.
So you're going 4-3-3 as well, Giant?
I'm not going sort of 4-3. I'm still. I guess it is the two. However you do it, but it would be typically to start with. I'd have sort of Raskin the deepest. Probably 4-3-3 to be honest. I think that's where we've gone wrong with the two sitters and going man for man with Diomande further forward up against Callum McGregor because he typically sits deeper for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would have, either or whoever you think on the other two in there. Typically it'll be who is it? Hitate and O'Reilly, isn't it? So whatever the manager would feel best for them, I would play like that man for man and get the legs in there.
Decent. And Robert, what's your thinking with the 4-3-3, mate?
Man for man in the middle of the park, mate. Just an extra body in the middle of the park. As I said, get close to them. We give them far too much space to dictate. Even the last game, you look at the amount of shots O'Reilly and McGregor were getting away from the edge of the box. Just man for man the whole way. They're no better than our midfield. And if they're not getting the space, you look at the last game when Raskin came on. I don't remember McGregor getting the ball as much because Raskin was pressing him. He was forcing him back the way. He wasn't allowing it to come forward. And then when we did win the ball, Raskin's getting the ball forward. So Diomande's got the athleticism, Sterling's got the pace, the power, and Raskin's got the tenacity. It's a good balance for me. Obviously, Silva on the wings probably questionable with some, but he's gave Johnston quite a hard time. But if you don't play Silva on the left, you're asking Cantwell to do a job out wide, really. And we know sometimes he's not up to that. And I think that Silva can just almost terrorise Johnston at times as well.
I think it's a no-brainer. Silver out there on the left. He's and just in the games, he's giving them the run around. He's shown it. Should have scored. I know that actually should have scored a sitter, so shouldn't praise him for that. But he showed he can get in there, and that Johnson won't be looking forward to it. If he came off injured, I don't even know if the bloke's fit, but he won't be looking forward to it if he is playing because he had a hell of a game of it last time.
How are you lining up?
Right, mine's a wee bit different, but this is just only like pie in the sky stuff. So Butland, Tav, Stirling, Davies, Ridvan, Raskin, Lundstrom, and then I'm going to have Sima, Cantwell, Silva, and then Dessers up front. So I'm going to have two sitting, and then Lundstrom trying to link obviously with Cantwell, and then you've got your Sima, Silva right and left, and then Dessers up front. And I'm putting Big Stirling in centre defence purely because the way he performed in the last game at Celtic Park when they put him in defence. I thought he was absolutely solid, and he dealt with Maeda really well in there. I'm not saying that's his preferred position, but I think we need some power in there. Balogun's again another good one in there, but again it's just I think he'll be maybe no match fit for it. So I would put Stirling in there just to get him in the team. And Raskin again, he's like I think you touched on, Robert. He's one of these boys that's a bit like Pilkbill, and he can nick the ball back and stuff like that. And then you just got Lundstrom. It just needs to put in the European performances for me. He just needs to do that against Celtic, and he'll be fine. So that's my kind of wishful thinking, boys. That's my kind of team.
I don't think you could be far off, to be honest. Keep the 4-2-3-1. I think that's what Clement will do. I don't think he'll change formation, but I'd like to see it change formation just to kind of go match up, just to kind of get that midfield secure, overload it a wee bit with the three and the two wingers, kind of try it back almost as a 4-5-1, but I don't think he will change, which is unfortunate because I think that's what most fans are calling out for, but I see a logic with the 4-2-3-1.
It'll not be one thing, Robert. I don't want it in JM as well. I don't want the two being a straight line though. I mean, I want it more. That says that they're covering the spaces, the gaps. If you know what I mean. I don't want it this kind of straight line where we've got all the space to run down left and right. Because that space that O'Reilly got in that last game and McGregor got was embarrassing. The last game. So if we did do that, then we know there's only got to be one outcome, JM.
Yeah, we know what's going to happen if we just give them space and allow them. The tactics seem to be we try to go man for man, but because we have so little confidence in players willing to take responsibility, we won't pass the men on, and people will just just trying to look after their job, and they were just getting free shots. It was bad, really. It was really, really bad. And like you say, I think this is going to show. This will answer a lot of people's questions one way or another if they feel like they can trust the manager tactically. Because as the supporters aren't stupid, we can see where the gaps are. And I appreciate the manager maybe hasn't got the players fit to play how he wants to play, but he knows what players he has fit. So he's got plenty of time to think of a way to counteract how they play.
Right, so we've also touched on the manager there, and it's about the tactics. So let's kind of take our right royal blue tinted glasses off, and we'll go with what our Heeds really says and what our manager would probably do. So, Robert, have you got in mind what the actual manager will go with?
Butland, Tav, Suter, Davies, Ridvan. I think we'll actually play Lundstrom with Diomande, and then Sima, Lawrence for some reason if he's fit, Silva, Dessers. I don't think he'll change much from that last Old Firm game, if I'm brutally honest.
No, because he's been stubborn with that. The only thing we can hope for is, well, no hope for it, that sounds bad, but the Lawrence thing, Lawrence has not performed since he started in Old Firm. I don't know what the thinking round about that is. I know he's good technically and he can hit a shot from outside the box and stuff like that, but I don't know why, when you've got a boy like Cantwell in form, that you keep dropping him for these games. It's a weird one. JM, your thoughts?
Yeah. I think the shape will be the same. I'm thinking about. We're now trying to second guess people's fitness and what the manager can actually change. I think obviously it'd be Butland to have. Then I've got a feeling you're going to have Sterling and Davies there with Ridvan at left back, and then I agree. I think Lundstrom will come in. I think it might be Lundstrom and Raskin with McCausland, Cantwell, Silver, and Dessers. And that's just trying to guess. I mean, he says he's had to compromise before. It's if he thinks Seamer's got 45 to an hour in him, or has he only got half an hour in him at full tilt? If Seamer's got an hour in him, 45 to an hour, I think you might see Seamer on the right.
Robert, mate?
I can't believe nobody's mentioned Scott Wright. It's a Scottish Cup final, lads, at Hampden. He's got history here. Come on. Just Scott Wright getting a mention.
Now's not the time for jokes, Robert. Now's not the time.
If he starts and he scores, I'm going to get a haircut like him. I'm telling you.
No, you need a tattoo. There's no way you can get a haircut. You've not got enough hair for that. You need a tattoo of Scott Wright.
True. I haven't got enough hair. Oh, by the way, they put it past them to go out and rock up with a goal. I know we've only got 3 minutes left, so we'll try and keep an eye on the time. But it would just be the thing, wouldn't it, that Scott Wright rocks up with a goal on the weekend.
Yeah, and you know what? If he does, I'll get a shirt with his name on the back if he scores a winner. I'll tell you what, I'll do. If he scores a winner and that, I'll get a shirt with his name on the back.
I heard Ox is changing his name by default to Scott Wright if he scores a winner.
Oh, we need to get one of the orange taps with Scott Wright in the back for Ox. If that happens,
if he scores the winner, he
can wear it for his summer holidays. Right, scores predictions. Robert, you go first, mate.
2-1 Rangers after extra time. Nail biting.
It's going to be a long afternoon, huh?
Not when you're drinking, JM. On you go, mate. What do you think your score will be?
3-1 Rangers, full time.
Oh, right. So we've got a confidence and we've got a cautious one. I'll go. I'm going to go with something like 3-3, and then it'll go extra time, and we'll win it in extra time. So I'm going to go a draw at full time and then win in extra time. But I don't know how many by.
You've been following Southside's betting predictions or something.
I think it may be a high scoring game. Yeah. Right, boys, we're kind of reaching that time of the night, so just final thoughts don't have to be too short. So, Robert, on you go, mate. Just final thoughts tonight and the weekend ahead, mate.
No, I enjoyed the show tonight, mate. It was good. It was good to have a wee subject each and discuss it. A lot of good points. Always good to hear your opinions on it. Massive game on Saturday, mate. I know we're a bit down just now, but what is it, 3 or 4 sleeps, depending on how many catnaps you have during the day, until Saturday. So battle fever will commence, and as I said before, it's the last time some of these players will be wearing the shirt. So all I ask is they go out, leave everything on the park, and bring home the trophy. Come on, Rangers, we can do it.
Well said, mate. Brilliant. JM, your thoughts, mate, and I think you've got the result of the poll as well.
Yep, just having a look. Sorry, technical wouldn't employ me. I tell you, if I'm reading like Jamie, I see 84% are going for a no start for Lunny. Maybe suggest to you that people still feel a little bit, well, not a little bit, very let down for what he done in the game there, doesn't it? For him not to come back in. But like you say, I've got the feeling that we're going to see a stubborn football manager like they all are.
Yep, well said, mate. Well said. Right, boys. Thank you very much for your time tonight. Great subjects that you've brought up, and it's been a pleasure having you on. Big thanks to everybody in the social medias and everybody helping out on the admin side as well. Big thanks to you in there as well. Keep an eye on everything in there. Big thanks to Old School Blue doing the technicals tonight, and our very own Southside doing the phone lines. And this has been Rangers Radio. We'll be back tomorrow night, where you'll be joined by the Old School gang. Good night, and thank you.